Welcome to the 2717 podcast. I'm Javier, an authentic wedding filmmaker.
And I'm Ashley, a passionate wedding photographer.
We're here to bring Proverbs 27:17 to the wedding industry. As iron sharpens iron,
so one person sharpens another. In this fun series, we're all about sharing experiences and building a community.
Expect heartfelt stories, creative inspiration, and some amazing behind-the-scene moments.
Plus, insights from some truly inspiring guests.
Tune in to connect with us, spark your creativity,
and be a part of a supportive community.
You're listening to the 2717 podcast.
Planning your wedding isn't just about choosing a venue, it's about finding the perfect backdrop for one of the most meaningful moments of your life. That's where Juliana Estate comes in. Nestled in the heart of Lakeland, this elegant estate gives you that classic scenic charm, like a movie set, but it's all yours. Think lush greenery, romantic gardens, and plenty of room for unforgettable moments with the people you love the most. It's a place where every detail feels personal because it's not just a venue. It's where your story begins. See how Juliana Estate can make your wedding day truly yours at julianaestate.com. Thanks for sponsoring today's podcast. Hi guys, welcome back to the 2717 podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Javi.
And we are so excited to be here today. We haven't filmed in a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't.
But today we're just gonna yap. We are going to have a really genuine conversation just about where we're at in our businesses, in our lives, talk about some of our favorite things in the wedding industry, and just kind of have a genuine conversation where we can sharpen each other and then ultimately sharpen you guys as well. So that's what we're all about.
Let's do it.
Javi, what's new with you?
So I've been running ads. I started this month. I had a pivot like quickly because I was going through the books and I was noticing that last year, pretty much I got paid. All the weddings for this year got paid last year, majority, 85%. And so maybe only have 15% of their payments coming in this year. So that means I got to go crazy on bookings for next year and maybe take a few this year. And so I've been doing paid advertisement. And it's been like a whirlwind of learning. And so like if you ever see ads on like Instagram where they're talking about like building your funnel, building your sales funnel that's perfect, and you do ads. And so like I feel when we all start this creative journey, we're a little bit like, I don't know if I want to do ads. Like it takes a lot of money and it always feels like you're hoping and guessing. And that's how I've always kind of felt with it.
Yeah.
I did take a course last year. I paid a lot of money for this course. And I read it and I tried it a few times and it worked. It did give me like a $10,000 wedding in Chicago, which was insane. But like I felt like I was still hoping and I wasn't really understanding. But I started to kind of understand the numbers of everything. But it led me to this situation that I'm in right now. As of March 25th, I had to pivot my business, the whole business strategy. I did it in a week at the beginning of this month. I talked with my wife. I shared the strategy, and she pretty much said, it sounds like you're hoping. You're not like, you don't know for sure it's going to work. And so I just went ahead and asked her. I'm like, all right, she's a therapist. If you're speaking to a person that walks in and they're saying and telling you that, hey, I don't feel loved, what will you tell them? Well, you start with saying, it's like, all right, what are the truths that you do know to be facts, and what are the things that are, just emotions, and separate those two and lean onto what is true. And so that clicked something in me. It just removed me from this whole all about me type of thing to then it's like, how do couples buy just in general, right? It's like sometimes I felt like I was just in this whole whirlwind last year of like about my style, about my approach and who I want to work with.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying myself.
That's huge.
Couples
so
are
good.
paying me.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I feel like with social media and with being in such a saturated market and like getting this is a hot take, getting business advice from people who aren't business coaches that say like, I think there is a level of you need to, especially if you're having a more personal brand, like people connect with people. I don't disagree with that statement, but also people connect with people, but people buy what they want to buy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Like I shop at Target all the time. Do I know who the CEO of Target is? Do I have a personal relationship with them? No, nope. I have no idea who they are, but I know Target like the back of my hand. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that's huge. And like, we're missing in our community, like that big business mindset, like
Yes.
the main, like, this will level up all of our businesses.
And I think right now, like the whole industry is very much like it's building this personal brand, building it all about me. And in a way that can work, but for very few.
Yeah.
You got to be entertaining. You know, there has to be something about you that's special. And it's not to say that we're not special, we're not able to do that. It's just that means that our ability is not that.
Yeah.
It's in something else. And I decided to pivot. I'm like, okay, forget this. I'm really special at building systems. I'm understanding of how can we build systems to make an experience great for a couple. And so I just, remember how I typically will buy things. It's like, does it fit my budget? Is the value there for what they're offering at the price point? Do I trust them? And do they fit my style or vision?
Right.
Those were the 4 things that I leaned onto. And so when I started writing all my ads, I was just thinking about headlines that spoke in these terms. And I rewrote my website, my investment page into writing into these terms and speaking to these couples. I know that my work visually is great. Like, I got quality work. I've been to Italy. I've been to New Jersey. I've refined my storytelling. But if nobody's seeing it and it's not a great price point where people will value it at, then ain't nobody going to inquire. And I decided to, so then I shared this plan with my wife. She approved and she's like, okay, this sounds way much better. And because there was just psychological things.
Yeah.
And buying is very psychological, not always logical.
Yeah.
Because it's especially for a wedding, it's an emotional transaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I was booking my wedding photographer, like I went through like what feels like hundreds of photographers in our area. And I was like, okay, let me refine by style. So like, what do I want my wedding photos to look like?
Yeah.
And then went from there and then found a couple. And then from there, I went to, you go to their website, you go to the investment page, you look and see if they're in your budget.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. We broke out here.
Yeah.
We paying for a wedding out here.
It's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. But like certain things you want to invest in, you know what I mean? So like we had our budget and for, photo and video and, so like, you look and see like, do they fit my budget? Or like I reach out, you go and inquire, you get their brochure, all that stuff. Then you refine even more.
Yeah.
Then from there, I was like, okay, I want to have a personal connection with the person that I'm going to be with that entire day. So like, let's schedule a call and let me see if I vibe with you. And I think I ended up having an actual call with like 3 or 4 photographers out of like, I probably inquired with like 10 or 15 and then actually had calls with like 3 to 4 and then from there refined. So like, it's just,
yeah. You know what? Let me ask you.
Especially being in being in the industry was so hard. And like all of my clients, friends, people I talk to about my wedding at any point, they're like, oh my gosh, choosing a photographer must have been so hard for you. Like, how are you in the industry? Like, who's going to take your, like, I could, if I had a dime for every time I got asked that question, my photographer would be paid for. For real. So it's kind of funny, like being in the industry, you'd think that like you kind of know what you want or like you want to have a friend do it or whatever. It was so hard.
Yeah. No, I can imagine it. Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What compelled you? You reached 15.
Yeah.
What compelled you now to just actually schedule a call or have a call with only 3 or 4 photographers?
Yeah, I feel like it was a lot in like email responses and how quickly people got back to me. Like that's a huge thing too, response time. And more so like, when you kind of like, you're reaching out to 10, but like you love like 5. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
You're reaching out to all of them just to kind of gauge the vibes and like see, but like you really, really, your core, like people, like I feel like from her style and this and their website and their copy, like all things together, like you kind of already know to an extent, like, you know what I mean? What you want in that aspect of things.
That's true.
Does that kind of make sense?
It does. What's kind of crazy right now, like I'm in this phase, obviously with the ads, I've gotten 56 inquiries. Now of the ads, they're probably
give me some of those.
like 45 of inquiries, and I've gotten my organic ones, referrals and leads. And what's been crazy about it, it's really a numbers game, right? You can see who are really intentional, who are not. And it's funny, majority of my inquiries, I'm getting them like late at night. either 11 p.m., 12, 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because I get them in the West Coast too as well. So for their time, it's, midnight or 11. They're inquiring.
What are these people
and it hits
doing?
my inbox. I know.
Why are we up?
But
Go sleep.
it makes sense when you think about when people like, all right, I found this. I like this. And I'm being impulsive to go ahead and fill out the form.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
But then they can just ghost you and they'll never get back to you. Where it's like, oh, I'm compelled and I filled it. And then I get the email and it's like, oh, man. So like right now I'm in the phase of trying to figure out my email sequencing and to be able to convert more of these leads, inquiries into actual calls and conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And since I have a budget about 1,600 in ads, and as of now, it's March 25th. I started this on March 3rd, and I'm going all the way to April 3rd. And my goal is obviously to book as many as possible and to get as many calls as possible. And so, but also these are all qualified leads because my contact form is pretty long. I make you ask like, hey, what about our style compels you? So that lets me know, hey, what are the things that you like about what we already do? Yeah. It's almost like reassuring that belief that we are the right person, whether it's our storytelling, whether it's the films feel like something when you're watching them and it doesn't just feel like, okay, this is eye candy for the most part. And it's giving me all the data that I need to then create better emails and sequencing, because now I'm just trying to target what they actually value.
Yeah.
I wish there was like AI that could, as they're inquiring and they fill out that little section, rewrites in their own way to reassure them of their own belief, because that'd be really cool. And it makes it way personal. And for me, I'm so big on response time, which is why I love automation.
Dude, that AI feature would be insane.
That would be insane.
That'd be so game-changing.
It's probably out there already. I just don't know about it, maybe.
Yeah.
Whether it's through Zappy or other things. But
yeah. Or even like not that's the thing with AI though. Like it's like if a couple is inquiring though and they're like, we want something cookie cutter montage, like you don't want AI to then be like, thank you so much for inquiring, we love doing cookie cutter, you know what I mean? Like
I'm sure you
know
can,
what I mean?
I'm sure just like you can do
like
with
you would only want it
now
to like hit the points that like actually align with your business. So you would have to teach AI what your values are, and then it would like hit the inquiry. I don't know.
And they could read it. Like
I also don't know
you can do that. That's like
AI
a
with all that stuff.
That could definitely be a thing where it's like, hey, these are the key words that we are looking for, identifying, storytelling, emotions, and then program it where if it's anything other than that, either goes back to a basic thing or maybe it just responds like, maybe we're not the best fit for it or something. But there's been a whole learning curve to try to like get people to schedule calls. And so I've had a good amount of calls. I got 6 proposals out. I've already booked 4 weddings for the month. So it's very encouraging. I'm trying to finish at 10 weddings booked for the month. And I want to keep running the ads into April, which is going to be really cool. So you guys are probably watching this in April and this is March now.
Yeah. Or you've seen Javi's ads.
Or you've seen my ads pop up. But it's been really interesting because like, I know that I can, like, if we're using an analogy of fishing, like I know I can cast out the hook and you're going to bite.
Yeah.
Now I just got to figure out how to reel you in all the way.
Right.
And so for me, my goal with that client acquisition period is to get you to schedule the call.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now, I'll share my process is that I give them my brochure. I made a video that way in case they don't even schedule the call, watch the video.
Yeah, that was super fun.
You
get to do that last week, and that was a blast.
And like you get to know a little bit about me, our process, Sundial, but also see a real testimonial from a couple and see everything that we kind of have to offer. Share a little bit about our approach, and
it's like throwback to that behind the scenes of me like feeding you the lines. You wrote the whole script, I will say, but I was like, okay, this is what we're saying and this is what we're saying now.
I'm not an actor,
No, none of us are. I mean, even like being on the podcast, I feel like I'm like,
I know
what do I say,
but this has been where I'm at, Ash, and trying to figure out this whole thing.
Can I pick your brain about something? Can I ask you a question about the ads?
Go ahead.
Like I'm going to piggyback off what you said earlier, where you were like, people like think ads and they don't want to do it and like whatever. And even like when you had first come to me and was like, okay, I'm doing these ads or whatever, it's like, okay, like whatever. How did you get past like that kind of stigma in your brain of like, oh, like, because people feel so weird about ads, and even like not from just a business side of things, but even like a client side of things. Like when I see certain ads, I'm always like, like whatever. Like, I don't know.
Well, what helped me with that was in this period in time to be able to do it is because I've already had like a $10,000 booking from an ad last year in May.
Right.
And so I knew that it worked. And I knew that regardless, the buying decisions of anybody is those 4 key elements I talked about.
Yeah.
And so when I went and started this time around, I was forced to because I have to make new money for this year because majority of everybody paid me last year. So I was already in a situation where I needed to figure out regardless, and I needed to try something. So I know that in order to be able to do this, I need exposure. And I can't get the exposure, but I'm like, do I have the time to make tons of reels right now?
Yeah.
I don't.
No.
Can I pay somebody to make these reels? Sure, but I know that it's going to work for them. No.
Right.
Like, because like they can make the reels and they'll be pushed out. Now the algorithm decides who is going to show it to. So when it's come to paid advertising, you're paying to be in these spots.
Yeah.
And then Facebook and Instagram, their algorithm is going to make sure that they're going to try to show it to the right people. And it takes a little bit of time to be able to, for them to figure it out. So in my audiences, like people would probably think, oh, I need to target my specific niche. I need to put like their engaged in relationship status. I need to put their age range or put them here. I did none of that. All I did was focus on the full United States. I'm like, I can go anywhere in the US. If a couple is willing to have me there, I'm willing to be there. And my copy, my headlines, and the creative, those are the targeting mechanisms that the algorithm then identifies to show it to the right people.
The right people. Interesting.
And it has a learning curve. It takes anywhere from 3 to 5 days for it to start being efficient in delivering it to the right people.
Yeah, I feel like it takes a lot of courage too to like put yourself out there like that with ads because of that bad taste that people get with ads.
Yeah.
I feel like in certain aspects.
You know what though? I think
just maybe it's just business owners.
I think it's
that do.
more of us than it is about the couple or the client.
Yeah, because I mean, you're saying, like you're like, I'm here and it's working. So like obviously,
I think the creative does
the
matter, right? What you show them, what type of video you show them really matters.
Yeah, sure.
And so like for me, my winning like creative, actually it's 2 right now, but the winning one that was by far in the beginning was pretty much a reel of my bride walking into the church that you were actually filming with your iPhone. And I had the bride mic'd up, and her tripping over was the number one like showstopper to get the person to stop and just watch the video and maybe click, and it went to my website.
Yeah.
And that's where the other quality work just goes through.
Yeah, literally. I was I manning a camera?
No, you were.
I think I just was going to check one
the
of
other
them, and
side,
then she was walking in, and this church had all the pews like lined, and then it had column like hallways. So like,
and there was that statue in the middle of the walkway too, on the aisleway. Like there's a big statue that you couldn't see in neither of the frames. Because I would have been. I didn't have an angle on her coming in because of that statue.
Yes. Okay. So then, there's all the pews, and then there's like archways where you can kind of exit the pews from like the middle aisle or throughout the sides, but they're like kind of like hallways.
Yeah.
Beautiful church. And so I was kind of hiding behind one of the pillars, and I was going to go right after she walked down the aisle. I was going to go to one of your other cameras on the other side and like check in, make sure it was good or whatever. And then I was like, oh, like, let me get a little BTS of her like walking in for like Javi to put on his story, like whatever. And I like filmed her coming in, and she ends up tripping over her. She like kicks off her shoe, and then she kicks off the other one, and the wedding planner has to, and she's all mic'd up too, which is iconic.
That's one of our approaches. Yep.
And so you could just hear, it was so funny because even like, me being back in that hallway, I can kind of hear her being like, my shoe just came off. Like, you know, and I was like, oh gosh. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, what happened? I think I ended the clip too. I was like, what's happening? And then I went back to it, and I was like, okay, like.
Yeah. And it worked out perfectly. I'm so happy when you sent me all the behind the scenes stuff that you capture your phone. I was like, this is gold. Like, this is awesome.
I was like, also, I got her coming in with the shoes. I remember being at the reception. You were like, wait, what? It's
like this is a real moment. I knew the bride was mic'd up. The groom was mic'd up. So I got his reaction with my camera. And then the cool part is when I was editing their ceremony, they were talking about it.
Yeah.
And they referenced it, and I added on to the end of that clip, and I was just like, man, like, this is awesome. And this is what, like, I love what I get to do, right? I get to document these moments. That way they can watch it back. And there's other little oopsie moments throughout the wedding day that was cool, but it's authentic to who they are.
Yeah.
And
so fun.
And I even incorporate it into the trailer.
But people love that. Yeah. People love that stuff, and it was eye-catching for those ads to.
And it was just cool. So that was like one of the winning performing creative ads. So like people who care about those little moments, it's speaking to them.
Yeah.
And then the other ads I have running a little bit more polished, showcasing maybe black and whites, a little bit more editorial. It speaks to them. I have another creative for retargeting with VHS that speaks to them. But the whole running ads thing is, as a business owner, if we're in this creative field, I think it's important to like evaluate that and use that tool into your arsenal to build your business, because corporations do it all the time. They spend big budgets.
Big words. Big budgets.
Big budgets on ads every single year on the creative side, and make these crazy commercials, right? The Super Bowl commercial can cost you anywhere from, I think, $5 to $8 million for a few seconds to be there. Why? Because people are watching it, because an audience is there. And the tool that we have is Facebook and Instagram, TikTok.
Our industry is nuts for that. I like don't. Blows my mind.
Yeah. What's crazy is that.
But even like I sit in it, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm very like, I show my face a lot, personal brand vibes. And then even like the same thing with paid advertisement. I'm like, I don't know. Like,
see, and the thing is
crazy.
We kind of got to remove that stigma, right? It's like, oh, you're doing paid advertisement type of thing. It's like, I'm gonna be in business still. I'm gonna be thriving, right? Like,
come back to me next year.
The only way to, like, as a business, if you're looking at just as a business perspective, the only way for you to really go crazy and have exponential growth in your business is by having that demand there, and people need to see what you do to offer to have that demand. That gives you leverage.
Everyone has something so special, and like, but if no one's around to witness it, like, no one's gonna believe it. No one's gonna hire you. No one's gonna.
Right. Like, not all of us are influencers. Not all of us have the opportunity to get massive exposure that the algorithm picks up.
Strong suits.
Yeah, and everybody starts following them. That's like 0.1%, right? Or even less than that. And as a business, it's like, if we're going to be thriving and doing this, it's like, all right, we need to make sure that we know what our business is, what its values are, what we want to communicate, what we have to offer, and what's the problem that we're solving.
Yeah.
You know, and for what we do, it's an emotional problem that we're solving. We're solving those emotional needs of documenting their wedding day in a way that represents their day and them and the experience with it.
Yeah, which is such a huge need, and it's not going anywhere either. Like, weddings are going to continue to happen. Big monumental moments are going to continue to happen. Yeah. And people want to, especially with how big social media is, like, they're going to want to capture that.
Yeah. If you think of three, like, as a whole, like, in putting a large categories of three categories that we know industries would probably never die, it's health, wealth, everybody want to make money. Health, you got to take care of your body yourself, and there's so many elements of that. And relationships. Those areas are not going to die in terms of money wise, like industries.
True.
And there's so many subcategories and niches within all of those things.
Right.
And we're part of one of those with the relationship side for weddings.
Yeah.
And catering to couples. You know what? It's another thing that kind of clicked my mind when, like, throughout this whole journey and process is, if you're noticing that your style isn't getting attention, is there even a market there for it to begin with? Even though if you love it and you're like die by it, but you've tried everything, and there's no market that's really paying for those services, it lets you know that that style of yours is not a viable style to sustain your living. Woof. And I think that it's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but it's a true thing where it's like, is it too unique and too out of this world that's not ready right now at this time?
Yeah, I might counter you on that.
Ooh.
I don't disagree. I think that, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of subcategories to that statement because I'm a huge, like, standby of, like, everybody has a unique eye and something to give, especially in our industry, because, like, I say this all the time. Two people can walk into the room and take pictures of two different things at two different angles at two different moments in lighting and days. And, like, you know what I mean? To, like, make up our own God-given eye and creativity.
Yeah. And I think, by the way, to give you context of
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I say it.
No, I don't.
I say it more in the perspective of not to do it just by yourself, but more like in a business organizational way.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it
yeah,
a
yeah.
7-figure audience that you can
Sure.
actually do?
Right, exactly. And like kind of to go back to like the ads, like if no one's there, if you're like you said, if the I'm like I feel like I'm like and but you have to gauge your location, right? Like who you're networking to, like where you are, you know what I mean? Like if you're in a really like a mountainous area, like a lot of you know what I mean? Like it's gonna
Well,
be a little different than
well,
like
let's
elopement photographers
yeah,
that are like out in Oregon don't have
yeah.
the same style of editing or vibe as
Well, you know
people
what?
here in Florida because
Well,
it's totally different.
agree. I will say let's lay the foundation to the conversation. Let's lay the foundation to the conversation. So my point was more about like if you are doing paid advertisement and you have like exposure, like reaching people and you're not getting any traction or anything like that.
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and you're
okay.
speaking to these things.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm more referring to. But yeah, how you're explaining it, I do agree in that aspect. But I was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
talking
yeah.
more about like, hey, everybody, you've shown it to a whole bunch of people
Yeah.
and you still not getting
But I
anything.
still think everybody has a unique eye. And,
Well,
I guess
the
like,
unique eye is your unique eye,
but
but
like
is it viable to
to
sustain,
sustain
living?
life.
And
Yeah,
that's the part.
Well,
you know, I think
take
that's
it or leave it.
that's the hard fact reality. And if it's not, for example, are you? Then this is why I love business, right? Because like if you want to prove that what you have to offer is really there, it's like a science experiment.
sure.
And
Yeah.
you
and that's
here's
the
my
coolest part about it.
hypothesis. Let's test it.
Yeah, exactly. And even like going back to what you said of like you took that year to like define your artistry and now you've mixed it into with the paid ads and like changing your copy and like everything like your business has pretty much gone in stages, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
the coolest thing about our business in general, you know what I mean? Like I feel that too. Like I was like when I first started my business, I was super like I was trying out social media and I was like throwing myself out there but I was getting a bunch of different inquiries about a bunch of different stuff like family sessions, branding,
Yeah.
portraits, newborns, like and I was doing all of it, you know what I mean? And then you refine to find like what you do really love to do, but then you refine within your editing style. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all of those things
It's
are within
phases.
stages and phases of business owning. So then you can grow within that business and then you're at your okay, you're still going to grow, but also like you found your niche, you found your style, and now we're going to show it off.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what though? Like
Yeah.
I love what you said there because everything is in stages and phases. Like the longer we're doing this, the more data we're getting and understanding and
Right.
that wisdom where it's like, all right, I have our systems now when it comes for inquiry, how we talk about what we do, our services. And like to break it down, if you're not into business, I love business, but it's like I worked at a call center and an insurance call center back in 2016. You know, I was in college and pretty much I had a call map. And so based on the policyholder's response, we will go this direction or the other direction. And so it's the same thing with, you know, when you're taking a consultation call, it's like, all right, I got all this information. When you have all the information, you have so much leverage because now you understand what the consumer likes and what they appreciate. And if majority of the people are buying from you like this, then that lets you know what to change because if they're liking it, they should also be aligning with your values because you're putting that in your copy.
Yeah. Oh,
And it gives you more data and more information to make better decisions and how to speak to them in an email sequence or how to make a video that hopefully aligns with them, that they can really value that. And when they hire you, you're going to feel confident because it's going to be a couple that values what you do.
Exactly. Like truly, truly trusts you.
Yeah.
Which is ideally what every person in our industry wants is I feel like that's a huge thing too, is like your ideal couple is someone that's going to give you 100% of their trust. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like once there's a trust like lacking, you're not going to be able to fulfill what
They're
the
wanting.
what they're wanting or the pedestal that they have you on type
Exactly.
of standard or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I always say that this should be more of a collaboration than it is to tell me what to do, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Because if it's more like that, then we're not a good fit.
Yeah.
Because the way everything is designed for us to do is on a collaboration.
Right.
We want to know what your preferences are in music and videos and how the editing format looks, but from our own work, from the things that we produce, because we know how that was produced. And then, you know, walking them through, collaborating on their ideas and sharing how we could do that for them and capture that is huge. And I know for photography, I mean, I used to do photos myself. I stopped doing photos within my business because those wasn't my strong suit. Building a timeline or working on a timeline isn't something that I enjoy quite much, to be honest. But I enjoy the photography side of things, but that's not my forte.
Yeah.
And I enjoy just working more on the video creative side and packing all that in where I can offer a better experience to that couple, you know. But I mean, just to say this is that the more information that you have, the better you know yourself, the better you're able to serve that couple and then repeat the cycle all over again.
Yeah, I will say I do like that about video. Whenever I work with you and I'm like, we don't have to do family photos. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here, King.
You know what? We got our own different checklists. Our checklist is like, do we got audio connected for bride and groom as they're getting ready?
Yeah.
Do we have the audio connected for the ceremony? Do we have lighting set up for reception?
Yeah,
do we get the
all that
speeches
stuff
and backup
stinks.
mics ready? But at least I love
that
it.
stuff stinks. Don't like.
No,
But
I rather have that than family photos because it's like things I need to worry about
yeah.
rather than like
I love family photos as a whole. It's just the task of
the names,
getting
the
everybody there,
Yes.
names, trying to find everybody.
Yeah.
The like, yeah.
It's gonna be convoluted.
I feel like that's the biggest thing is like I feel for my bride and grooms because I tell them, I'm like, everybody that you have on my list, tell them that they need to be like at the like stay, you know what I mean, like, or tell your officiant to say that, like, if you have not been told that you need to stay for family photos, get your booty to cocktail hour. You know what I mean, like, we're getting out, like, you know what I mean. And then like guests just don't like, that's the hardest thing is like the bride and groom want everything to be perfect and guests don't know that, or like some guests are just like you know what I mean, they stay around, they're like, can I get a photo with them? Can I do this? Or like, you know what I mean? And like, I would love to do that, but only if my bride and groom wants me to do that. You know what I mean? I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, nope, they gave me a list and everything else we're doing at reception or like whatever. I just feel for them. I'm like, I just want everything to go the way you planned it because I know that I told them to do it. And I'm like, and I know my brides and grooms, they listen to their photographer. They love me. I love them. I know that they're good at what they do. They tell their family that they need to be there. So
yeah,
I just feel for them in like that situation of things. But
well, that's when I love my type A brides, right? Because they're gonna make sure everybody knows and instill some fear into the guests and to show up.
Yeah. But like going back to what you said, I love doing that with timelines and stuff like that. I'm like, if I never want to stress you out on your day ever. Wedding days don't go as planned 100% of the time, but I won't let you fall behind either. Like, I'm not going to stress you out, but I won't let you fall behind. So if you are pacing and you're like, do we have to, like, where do I need to be? What do I need to be doing? Whatever. And I tell you like, we got time. We're good. I'm being so honest with you. And if I'm like, I will be, I always say, I'm like, I will be the bad guy or the like strong, like leader, which is kind of weird opening up, a little weird because I'm not that type of person in general. Like, I'm very introverted with people that I don't know a lot of the time. Like, I'm extrovert. Okay, I don't know what that would be called. I'm introverted with people I don't know.
Ambivert.
And really extroverted with people that I like know and trust. So being on wedding days, having to be that kind of leader figure was a really big learning curve for me in my business, especially even with just like doing couple sessions and like that was huge where I was like, oh, I'm meeting this really like this stranger couple and I have to pose them and direct them and they're confiding in me to be their guide.
Well, you got two things there. One, practice makes perfect, right?
Period.
The more interactions you have. This is why in my beginning of my journey, I did so many collaborations. I did so many things to get better at that. Communicating while also handling the camera, the functions and everything. But back to your first point you were talking about, the second thing is so important why 10 hours should be the standard for a wedding day
Yeah.
of coverage.
Yeah.
Because it allows everything to kind of play out. Even if a
Sure.
bride has a lot of things that they want to do, it's
Yeah.
like you don't want it to feel rushed all the time. Like this
Yeah.
is not a production. It's a celebration.
Yeah.
And we want you to enjoy and have time with your people there instead of be like
Absolutely.
a checklist of things that need to get done.
Yeah, exactly. And even this wedding that I worked this past weekend, they had my 8 hours of coverage package, which is great. I mean, 8 hours of coverage is amazing. I got there an hour early. And when I tell you I'm super thankful for that hour, because we did get to like space out things more. Like details were able to get done, and I was able to do, and I was by myself at this wedding because they had one of my older packages where it was like just me. So like I had to do all the guys getting ready photos, girls getting ready photos, details, hanging dress, all of that stuff alone with then like a shorter amount of time is a bit scurry.
Yeah.
Because with timeline stuff, but I will say like I'm really thankful that I like came that extra hour early. I was prepared, came the extra hour early, and like got started right away, and I really needed it, you know. So like you said, the 10 hours of coverage is that like sweet spot. But
I agree.
I don't know.
Those 10 hours are super, super important as a baseline, honestly. I think that should be the industry like set. And obviously, I'm speaking more to like full wedding days,
12
not
hours
like
would,
elopements or micro weddings.
12 hours would kill me.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
You know what's funny? I had couples that do extend past than 10-hour coverage and they do 12 hours. It's not because they want me to photograph or videograph really more things are going on with that time frame. It's more because of the logistical things. And like 10 hours can cover some of that. But sometimes if you're like,
sometimes
for example, I went to Chicago, there was a whole marathon going on that day. We had 3 different locations we needed to go to.
Yeah.
We were on thank goodness we were on a party bus with them. I think that's just kind of a standard now. If you're moving from one location to the next, I shouldn't have to drive in my own car because I have that potential risk of missing things. And so, which is really nice because I get to communicate that with the planners and with a couple. It's like, hey, it'd be best if we can ride, whether myself, my second shooter, whether on how many buses you guys may have or whatever, that we're all together. That way we don't miss any moments. I think that's important. But only times couples really add those additional coverage hours is for those logistical reasons that they may have. And Chicago is a big city. And so
yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Because I was gonna say 12. I've done a 12-hour wedding day, and I'm like, you're kind of in the morning. You're just like.
I even had a wedding for Lauderdale where we were there for 10 hours of coverage total. But to be honest with you, we only actually filmed for about 8 hours because their ceremony was an hour away from their getting ready. So an hour there and an hour back. That's 2 hours that were taken away in that sense. And we don't break up the hour coverage because I don't think you should do that. But if you do,
you said don't encourage.
that's your decision, right?
Yeah.
But for myself, it's always continuous because it's like I did once a wedding that wanted to break out the hour coverage, and I did it because it was an Indian wedding, and the ceremony was like at noon in Clearwater Beach and a high rise. There's no covering. And it's in the summertime in May.
Yeah.
Or I guess not summer, but it feels like summer already. So you can already imagine we're in all black and the ceremony being for 3 hours in length. And so then like it was 3 hours long and then there was a 5-hour break for everybody to recover, go back to the rooms and shower for later the party aspect of the evening. So that's the only time I broke it up. But even then I'm like, I was still there. I didn't get to go home. It's still almost, 2 hours away. And we just had to stay in this area. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah. But we were...
Because, to a certain extent, it's like, where am I going to go?
You can't go nowhere, right? I'm still here on the premises of the property.
Yeah. So work. Technically, you're still there. You're there for
so
those extra hours.
Now we always keep it continuous for those reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ash,
hobby.
With you.
Just getting through life. Oh, I just banged my mic. So sorry. I'm working on a new website right now, which is super exciting. I feel like in my business, I really wanted to refine my market and define what I stand for with capturing big days, big wedding days. That was a weird way to say that.
Yeah.
Big days. Nice, huge days. But I really wanted to refine so I can really fulfill my promises to each of my clients. So I'm working on a new website right now, doing new branding photos, the whole updating
Spiel.
of life. As we all know, as business owners, website redesign and copy and SEO and all of that baloney is not extra fun on top of editing and answering emails and all of that stuff, but it does get you really excited, I feel like, for where you want your business to go. So I'm excited to get new branding photos done coming up here probably in the next month or two. I'm over the white studio branding photos for me, not everybody else. Everybody else looks great, and I love you, and I'm obsessed with your photos if they are. Mine are right now. So for me, the past 2 shoots that I've done for my branding headshots have been in studios with white walls, and they have done me proud. But now I kind of want something more like fun and unique and more me.
I love that.
So I'm excited for that. That's going to be fun. Yeah.
What's your thought process when you're putting it all together? Like when you are now sitting down, picking out your website, like, I'm going to hit you on the business side of things. What was the intentionality behind it? Was it more on your style, or what is it that you're trying to achieve more, or attract?
Yeah, I think that I have come to a place where I know who I want to serve, and I want to act on that. So I'm really focusing more on, I don't know, I'm really focusing more on my storytelling, emotional preservation of it, but still in that kind of artistic sort of refinery, if that makes sense. So I'm documenting the story of your day, but adding an art element to it. Yeah. So I kind of know, I keep hitting the microphone. So I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to call more to those people. So I wanted something with my website right now. It's great. I love it. It's done me good, but it doesn't feel, I don't know. It doesn't feel the way I want to feel when I'm hiring a wedding photographer, if that makes sense. Being in the wedding industry, there's not a lot of, I love design, I love details and stuff like that. And obviously, that's something that I want my couples to love too. If that's something that I love, that's one thing I'm going to take into capturing your day. So I feel like my couple should love that too. So my website, what? Stop making your faces at me.
Well, if you didn't see, because obviously it was focused on her. You said something that my wife tells me that is something that shows really clear, in therapy work, a should statement. Yeah. Implying that the other person should feel that way because they see it, because you see it that way. And she checks me all the time with those should statements. Yeah. So because those are the things where it's you can't expect that person to feel the same exact way just because you do. Yeah. Which in design wise, I mean, obviously in business, well, how does that translate? I think it's that's why I asked, what's the intentionality behind it? Because design obviously plays an important part. We are attracted to things that we see visually that stimulates us and makes us go oh, wow. Yeah. All these things. But then I guess in a way what I'm trying to say is is always having those a reference point to cross check what we're thinking or actions are doing is a valid thing or a right thing. Ultimately, you lean on your gut to decide whether or not you want to do it. Mm-hmm. But I think it's always important to have that I guess checks and balances to see if our thought process or what we is doing is correct. Obviously we can test and then we find out whether it worked or not. Right. But when you said that, that's what that hit me.
I know you did
should. I'm should it though? And it just got me thinking of that.
Not it's this or no way, you know what I mean? That's not what I meant. Yeah. But
you know what though? That's
just more so I take details into account. So I want my couples to know that, and then I don't know.
Hopefully you're hoping that they appreciate it.
Sure. Yes.
Just for myself, by the way, this is what I messed up on. Like, if I'm going to be honest, remember that little section on my website where it says this is for you if, and this is not for you if.
Yeah, you refined your market.
And yes, but also a lot of those people could have been the if for them that they valued, but because maybe they saw these things that spell them and like, I don't want to work with this person.
Yeah.
That could have been a possible thing too.
Yeah,
as
or
well.
even like,
because that can be an off-putting statement.
it can be an off-putting statement for sure. They probably didn't even read what the if not should be. And they probably were like, I mean, I don't really remember them, but like, they probably were just like, if you don't want something cookie cutter or like whatever, like more lighthearted, you know what I mean? Like, in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, not like a,
I think at this point,
this is not for you if your budget's not here. You know what I mean? Like it's not harsh on harsh. It's like harsh statement, but like really, I don't know. What's the word? What's the word? Harsh header, but then like more like things that and not everybody loves. You know what I mean? Like everybody doesn't love those. You know what I mean? Like
well, that's why I removed that one. I'm like, you know what? Instead of think about it. It's an off-putting statement in an investment page when you're trying to get, like, I was trying to get people to buy for my services, but that's an off-putting one. Sure, I wanted to filter them out, but it's like, did I have the leverage to put the statement there? And the only leverage way I would see is like, for me to maybe make sense is like, all right, do I have a large following in that sense? To be able to put a statement like this to really refine even more who I want to work with because the demand is there so high. Yeah. And it wasn't, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
keeping it real, 100.
Yeah. I feel like a way that like you can change that is by like just keeping the one section, but then having like, you're in the right place if, and then taking those negatives and then turning them into like reverse psychology, like positive, like reflections upon that negative. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you're trying to say like, if you want a cookie cutter film, this isn't for you, but you would say you're in the right place if you want elegant, timeless films that like are dedicated or like crafted with, you know what I mean? Intention and authenticity.
You remove all those spells to then just speak to them on the things that they value. That's it.
Right. So you're saying the same thing, but in a way that feels more like
digestible.
Of a pull. Yeah, for sure.
And it's much more like, again, speaking to them rather than to us.
Yeah.
So those are some of the learning things I definitely caught on from that.
Yeah, website stuff is really hard. And even when you ask me that question, like, what's your intention behind it? It's like, I just, want to reach out to my people. You know what I mean? I want to find who is right for me. And like, where I feel like I'm still in a place of like growing up too. Even though I am 24 years old. But like, you know what I mean? Like,
we're always growing. I'm 30.
Exactly. We're always growing, but like, you're still growing up in your life and you are doing life experiences and things like that. And as my business grows, I mean, I'm in my 4th year of business, I think. I just had my 3 years. So this is my 4th. I'm in my 4th year of business right now. And I am continuing to really find out what I'm good at and why I'm good at it, and then like putting that into words, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm trying to do with my website. Is like, I know these are my strong suits. This is why I'm good at what I do, and then turning them into a way that people can book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I think
this is my vision. This is my heart. And this is like why I should be hired for your day. Like, I'm finding those points.
Yeah.
And then putting them into, newer website stuff.
Now I'm processing everything. I'm just like, I love it because everything has like structure to it. And it's funny because like a website's like a blend of you, and then also at the same time is like
blend of your work.
Blend the you is the you, your work, and all this. But it's but the blend is to speak to them.
Right. Yes.
So speak to what they also care about.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's about them spending their money we fulfill that promise for them.
Right.
And so it's finding that great balance between them both, where it's like, where it's not always one-sided to either me
Right.
or to them
Right.
too much. And I think that that's really cool. I mean, you know, you shared your website, your process of going in, and I was like, hey, why this? Why that? Or why not look at it differently? Or maybe a suggestion doing this or the other, which again, I don't know, I'm excited because if you do test other things in form of driving traffic to the website, it's like you get even better understanding of what people value.
Right. And, you know, and that's the whole thing about it is like my website has gotten me, I think I made my last website a year ago.
Yeah.
A year ago, because we were talking about it. Yes. Okay. So a year ago,
I helped you on that one too.
Yes.
Yeah.
A year ago, and it's done me really well, but I haven't seen like huge like
Success
from it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I also feel like having a refresh of your website, yes, it's daunting, but can also be super inspiring as well. Like, because it makes you kind of refine what you want for your business and your goals and stuff like that. So I feel like I've outgrown this website. I want something new. I want something that reflects where I am in my business and who I want to attract.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. A website is huge because it communicates then the direction you're heading,
right.
and what that couple could feel, right? Like I know I changed my logos last year, and it's before I would say is a little bit more feminine to say, where now it's very masculine in terms of what my logo looks like. But it was cool because it also changed the way like I saw my brand, and it felt more like me, but also allowed me to then lean into my creative storytelling. And you know, I say now for sure, it's my films are going to look like a movie. It's going to feel like a movie. And I want it to feel like a movie because there's different parts of a wedding day, and each of them need to be like curated to tell that story. And so it takes you through a journey, and that just shows you the recap of your day.
Yeah.
So I want you to feel something. In order to feel, it's like, all right, bam. So, and then there's that format. So like you're saying about design, there is that format, which is very important for your website, because as they're going through, not only are you communicating and sharing, but you are wanting them to feel a certain feeling when they're on there, whether it's through the imagery, through the fonts that you're using. Everything is very like intentional and selective. I know the fonts that I had back in October when I redid it wasn't really resonating, you know, and I went back to the fonts that I know that worked, that are resonating. So for that, this ad advertisement works. It's like, all right, it's like they can see the boldness of my work still, but also see the elegance that there is, the quality that goes behind it.
Right.
And I definitely believe fonts play a huge part. The design aspect plays a huge part in that feeling experience. And so, yeah, that's what I kind of share. Like going back into those both things is design plays a huge element. So fonts you choose, it's like but it's how you package it.
Right.
For that person.
For them in a nice little package,
yeah,
and a little bow.
Like,
and then like, even like you said too, where it's like, yes, it's more focused on the client, but also like you want to love what you've created as well. Like you said, where it's like this logo now feels more like me, and it has this boldness, and like I can relate to it. So then your creativity flows, and then you find the client. So it's like client, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like client here, they go onto the website, they resonate with it, compelled to take action.
But not even, but like for you, but like compelled to be creative. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's the circle, is like, you need to have the client, you need to love what you do and like how you show it off.
Yeah.
And then you can, because they relate to that, which then it makes you creative. And then the creativity is what's end up finding you clients.
Yeah. You know what blows my mind with all of this is that there's tons of photographers out and videographers here in the US, or even just in the city alone here.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy part is that everybody has to go through this journey in this phase to figure out who they are in all of this, so that then they can find somebody who resonates with it to purchase from them.
Yeah.
And it's just like mind blowing, because like imagine how many people have to go in this discovery phase, because if we're being honest with us, majority of all of us are solopreneurs. You know, and if you're not a solopreneur and you're doing it, but you're probably subbing out all the work somebody else can fulfill it, then that whole business strategy mindset is completely different experience for that couple who's trusting in your services. So it just kind of blows my mind that everybody has to go through this phase to understand where they are, who they want to speak to, who they want to market to.
And they do it alone. You know what I mean?
For the most part, doing it alone. They don't seek help.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like, I know for...
It's so confusing.
in the wedding world space too, is like there is a good amount of, in the wedding video side, like resources that are now out.
Yeah, there's a lot of photographers and stuff too that do mentorships and like stuff like that, but like I don't know, sometimes
it's kind of like, how do I have the trust, right? How can I trust what they're saying is true,
right?
And I think that's the point where it's like, why for us is big, just to like, hey, like the foundation of our podcast, just sharing, really being open, because the more we share and the more feedback we can get and learn, we can grow and sharpen one another. And that's the thing that that I'm like, are all of these podcasts or resources that people are putting out, are they actually doing that? And it's almost like you haven't earned my trust yet to take action whether or not to do it. But I believe in terms of community, how important that is, and to have a strong network of friends and within even the space to help one another.
Yeah, it's huge.
Man, it's crazy.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of the 2717 podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and just listening to us have a genuine conversation for, I don't know how long this episode is, but you do. So for however long you listened, we appreciate you being here. Javi, where can they find you?
Find me at sundial.creatives on the Instagram and at sundialcreatives.com.
And you can find me at Ashley Jade Photography LLC on Instagram, TikTok, through my website, all of that fun stuff. And then you can find the 2717 podcast at 17 podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And then I think we're like, I don't even know. I haven't done this in a while. 2717 podcast on YouTube and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, actually spelled out 2717 podcast. Bye.